Hey you guys, how's it going? So after celebrating my hitting my highest ever rapid rating on chess.com yesterday, I thought I would continue to improve this morning, and thought I'll just pick up the old tablet before I get out of bed and before I've had my morning coffee. Big mistake. So the lesson of this video is really that there's a saying, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. Bottom line is, doesn't matter who you are, 1,000, 1,100, 1,500, whatever. Everyone can make blunders, one move blunders, and that is what you need to be working on. More than anything else, don't forget about theory, right? We've got to cut out the ridiculous blunders first of all, and then we can move on from there. There's no point playing 20 good moves and then just buggering the whole thing up by doing something completely stupid. So let me show you exactly what I mean. This is the first game I played today. Our opponent's rated 1464-ish, and we have a Caro Khan. Okay, so these days I'm having really good success with the advanced variation, right? It seems to make so much sense. It denies the knight of its natural development square. And that does play a key role in this game, okay? Bishop comes out. I propose a trade of bishops, and we swap off bishops, and now he plays e6, okay? So black really doesn't have much at all in the game. Yeah, he's got a light squared pawn pyramid, and he's got a relatively dynamic dark squared bishop. But white has the advantage of a lead in development, a lead in space thanks to this pawn here, and is also closer to getting castled. So I'm feeling alright. Bring my bishop out because it's not doing much where it is. It might as well guard these squares and prevent the idea of this bishop coming out. So that's something I'm definitely working on at the moment, is trying to play both sides of the board. Half of my attention is on what is on my plans, and the other half is on my opponent's plans, and thinking, well, what does he want to do next, and how can we frustrate that? Now I have knight in front of the queen, so he's almost got like a bit of a London system, reverse London going on. I bring out my knight, getting ready to castle. C pushes to recapture if he wants to exchange on d4. And now the knight comes out. And I had to think at this point, 30 seconds, and I decided to swap off the knight. Because I can't see the king finding comfort over there. And if this pawn recaptures now, it's going to open up that side of the board, okay? So he recaptures. Knight comes out, queen comes out, maybe he's thinking about castling that way. Now I just push a3, really slightly out of ideas at this point. Noticing that there are weaknesses around here, and the big question is, do I want to castle and put my king on g1? Okay. Now his bishop comes over, so what that means is this pawn is now undefended. So I slide the queen across to e3, and now he does castle. And now I decide to castle, because I can see there's 1-2 undefended pawns here, and they are targets. And he's going to have to try and double up his rooks or do something. Also, this bishop here can't get to this square, so it can't get into a good position to attack my king directly. It's going to have to come down here or something like that. But then again, it's just not well placed. So now he pulls his rook across. I grab the pawn. Rook comes across to here, and now I decide to attack the rook, okay? And now I play my knight to here, hanging my queen, and then I resign, right? Now, there's no reasoning behind that whatsoever. I just didn't sanity check. I didn't fully tell the story. I was actually winning. I'm like +3 at this point in the game. The engine loved it. The engine thought I was doing great. And then I let him capture my queen. Go figure. Okay, here's another one. This is game 2. My opponent's rated in the 1500s, and we have a Sicilian. So this is what I'm playing at the moment, the wing gambit, loving it. He doesn't accept the gambit, but defends with b6. Okay. I now push here, getting ready to fianchetto my bishop, and take advantage of the fact that his b-pawn has moved, and maybe there might be threats against his rook at some point, so this makes sense. So now knight comes out, now we trade off in the middle. and I do fianchetto that bishop. He puts his on the other square on that diagonal. Knight comes out, little pawn push, and now I fianchetto my other bishop on b2. The idea of that is it's kind of tying this bishop down to the defence of g7. Knight comes out now. Did think about the same thing, just swapping my bishop off for that knight, but I decided to castle instead. And now I go in for an attack in the middle, thinking pawn takes, we might have exchanges of stuff in the middle. We might even swap off the bishops. But interestingly, he surprised me a bit here by capturing with a knight. So I take, now he swaps off bishops, and this is the key move, right? Okay, so the most natural thing here is to capture the bishop, but I had an in-between move. Knight takes f7. Okay, so I've now got my pawn back, but this is a more forcing move because I'm attacking the queen and I'm attacking his rook, right? So if he goes ahead and captures my bishop now, I get his queen and win, unless I'm a complete dumbass. So the king has to capture the knight and then I get his bishop, okay? So the difference here is now he's got 3 pawn islands, right? And his king's moved. So it's those kinds of moves that when you spot them, it can make a huge difference to the outcome of a game. Also, this knight is pinned, because if it moves, I will get the rook. Okay, so he blocks that with his bishop. I put my queen now on f3, so the knight is now pinned to the king, and rook comes across, and now for some reason, I play my queen to d5 with check. And the knight captures my queen, and I resign the game. It's just the sanity check, right? Yes, you can consider that move, but for some reason I got it in my head that the knight was pinned and couldn't move, right? But what I need to do is I need to go, okay, if I play this move, what's the worst that could happen? That's all you have to do before you drop the stupid piece. I've got 26 minutes, 52 seconds left on the clock in a 30-minute game. And I just hang my queen. Regicide, that's what it is, regicide. Okay, game number 3. Again, I have the white pieces, again I play e4, and again we have a Sicilian and a wing gambit. On this occasion, my opponent takes the pawn, and then I play a3, and he takes the pawn again, and now I capture with a knight. Now the idea of capturing with a knight here, you could capture with a bishop, a bit like with a Benko, where the idea is that you're pinning this pawn down, because if it moves, you trade bishops and this king has to move again. But the idea with a knight here is that it wants to come in and cause trouble and maybe try and get to the c7 square. Okay, so we have d6, which doesn't do anything to stop the path of this knight. I play d4, grabbing the center. He's getting ready to fianchetto his dark squared bishop, so I just reinforce my d4 pawn with c3. He does indeed plop his bishop on g7. I bring up my bishop, so ideas now of maybe queen to here, and just go for a blunt full frontal attack, right? Knight comes out, queen comes out to f3. Why not? So he's forced to push this pawn forward now. Just one square, he can't push it 2 because it'd be checkmate. And now I decide to pile on the pressure more, going to bring in more friends. Okay, so if the knight gets to here, again I've got the threat of queen takes and checkmate. So he pushes a pawn now on a6. I bring in my knight. Okay, now he's got to do something. This I think is definitely the best move. He blocks with his knight. So what I want to do now is just put pressure on this knight here. So I bring out my bishop now. Yeah, so the idea now I think is going to be to push e5. Previously, I push, he takes, I take, knight takes, and then he's actually forking my queen and bishop. So there's nothing gained out of all that. So, bring in more reinforcements, guys. So now if I push my pawn, he's got 1, 2 attackers against his square. And I've got 1, 2, 2 defenders. But I could also then castle, get my rook onto e1 as well. But it all turns out to be fairly inconsequential. Now he just attacks my bishop, and I just slide it back to a2. He now has time to castle. Right? So do I. Now he brings his queen out to a5 with a double attack. He's attacking this, but then I figure out that my queen's defending it. And he's attacking my knight, which is undefended. So I move my knight to c2. Idea is to bring it round to here, maybe. And now he pushes a pawn forward. Now, can you see a tactic? It's a very simple tactic, very blunt tactic here for white. Okay, it's quite simply the discovered attack, right? I can move this bishop here anywhere I want for free, unless I put it somewhere where the queen can capture it, which isn't actually possible, right? Because the rook would then be attacking the queen, and the queen has to move and save herself. So, well, first I play e5. I didn't actually spot it at this point. Play e5. I want to dislodge this knight, block up the centre, leaving lines of attack down towards this corner. Knight moves, and now I see, oh look, I can capture that pawn for free. Plus, I'm now attacking this knight and the rook behind it. Okay, the pawn can't capture because the queen is now hanging. Okay, so the queen is going to have to move either to here or to here to defend the knight. Right? And I'm just putting pressure on my opponent. I'm making my opponent do things that he doesn't really want to do. Okay, my opponent captures the bishop. I capture his queen, and he resigns. Okay, it's another 1500 player. We've seen 3 games today, 3 hung queens. What do we take from this, right? Now, if you're one of the people that comments on my videos and saying, you know, you play these people and they make completely dumbass moves and no one ever plays dumbass moves against me, you're wrong. You really are wrong. Everyone makes dumbass moves, right? You just got to be alert and ready to pick up on them because, hell, I don't know. I don't know what's going on right now. Maybe 1500 just isn't that good. I don't know. Maybe I've been playing really, really badly for the last couple of years. I don't know. I can't explain it, guys. It's just, you know, we have to cut out the blunders. Simple as. Okay, there you go. So there's today's little bit of fun. I might play a couple more games and see if I can crawl my way back to 1535 or something like that. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.